Jay. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. Mische Stongo, Gary 5 Jeho Jifkados.
Darren DeLon, Jeho Jifkados.
We hope that you all are enjoying this beautiful, what we call it, fall or winter weather. Yeah.
You know, that's a good question. I still haven't figured that out if it's fall or winter. Yesterday it was winter, but today's morning it feels like fall.
Yeah, okay. Well, as most of you might have known by now, the Mvskoke Creek Nation is closed for today.
And one of the main reason why on that is President Bush, President George H.W. Bush. He passed away. Gary, do you remember when it was a Saturday? It was Saturday when he passed away.
Yeah, this past weekend.
Passed away and over the weekend, and one of the executive orders that President Trump issued was for all federal offices to be closed in observance of this of his funeral today, which that is what Creek Nation is. The Mvskoke Creek Nation is doing right now. So all the offices are closed except the hospitals and I think clinics. I believe are they still open?
They tend to close.
Yeah, they tend to close too. So it might be just the hospitals that are still open right now. So Mvskoke Creek Nation hospitals are still open, but the rest of the offices are closed.
And Mvskoke Radio is open.
Yeah, Mvskoke Radio is open for this hour. Yes.
Yes. So thank you for listening to us. We have a couple of things we'll be sharing with this change in the weather, and geez, it's kind of chilly. Mm-hmm. We are going to share a piece with our emergency services manager, James Nichols. He did actually a couple of years ago, but it still applies for cold weather tips and ideas about how to deal with it.
You know, one thing we always talk about how like we have feature stories that are considered evergreen. Mm-hmm. Something like this, even though it's not a feature, it was an evergreen. So I mean, you can do this year round. Just have him just repeat this one because it's pretty much the same thing in preparations.
Yes, and the weather is pretty much the same thing. Cold.
Yes, Kasapi.
Mujineta Kazapidos. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and share that piece here coming up. But in the second portion of our program, the language department for the tribe has completed an immense project. I'm looking at several CDs where they have translated the New Testament into the Mvskoke language. And my gosh, what a monumental task that is. So we'll be sharing that discussion with Brandon Barnett and Pastor Jim Ziharjo. They'll be coming in to chat with us about it, and we certainly appreciate them coming in on a day like this. But first of all, let's get the first piece rolling and underway here. We are beginning to see the real weather change here in Oklahoma for 2016. Our warm spell we've enjoyed is starting to get cold. And now it's time for our people to be reminded of some of the things they should be doing for the winter, both automobile perhaps, at home, taking care of themselves when they're outside. So where do we start? That's such a big subject.
Well, it is a big subject. Winter weather preparedness is a big thing in Oklahoma. 9 years ago this month, we saw one of the biggest ice storms in our area that affected Tulsa. So really since that time, we haven't had what we would call a major ice storm. But Oklahoma sees, we could see several inches of snow. We could see up to half inch of ice that causes power outages, which could affect our water lines. It could affect our homes, how we travel. So we just want to make sure that we give some winter weather preparedness tips just to the folks so they understand what they need to do, how they need to be prepared, because we're going to see it before the end of the year is over with.
Right now, let's start with personal preparation, clothing, weather-wise. We see a lot of Oklahomans who are just stuck to wearing shorts and sneakers. I mean, all the time. You see their legs turning blue, but they're still, got to wear those sneakers and shorts. So, clothing-wise and being prepared, what will you suggest?
Well, of course, clothing is going to be a personal preference, but anytime that you're going to be out in the elements for any given time, you want to make sure that basically that you're layered up, depending on how long you're going to be out. So if it means some long johns underneath the jeans or the slacks and a heavy coat with gloves and just like Mom and Grandma told us for years, making sure that our feet are warm and making sure that our head's covered because that's where we lose the majority of our heat. That's what we want people to understand, as well as having the right type of footwear. We get a little bit of precipitation and the temperatures are below freezing. We've got ice and slick conditions, and that's where people start ending up in the emergency room because they don't have the proper type of footwear. They slip and fall, and it could be something as simple as just bumps and bruises to broke bones. So we want to make sure that people are dressed appropriately.
So your Michael Jordans might be nice to get around on the sidewalk, but ice and snow, they're not so good.
Correct. I would say something that's got a good sole on it, lug boots, anything that's going to grab traction and watching where you put your feet and not taking big steps, taking small steps so that that you don't get your balance out there and you slip and fall.
When I was in Alaska, we learned to really respect the weather. I mean, that could really be life or death. And one of the things they always stressed was that be prepared, even if you're in your automobile with a wonderful heater. If you're not dressed for it and you have a breakdown or a collision or something, slide off the road, you're in deep trouble, right?
Absolutely. We want to make sure that people are aware that you need to have a full tank of gas if at all possible, and make sure that you've got maybe an extra set of warm clothes, a blanket, some way of signaling somebody, whether it be a fully charged cell phone or flashlight, whatever it might be, kitty litter in the back of the car to help you get traction underneath your wheels. And even we've had people, of course, if it gets too cold, water's going to freeze, but have some way of keeping yourself, maybe some snack bars or something in case you are off the road for a while until somebody finds you.
Okay, now you're talking about some of the preparations at home. I guess if you've got some idea, you can share on winterizing your home and being prepared and what to look out for.
Sure. A lot of homes in Oklahoma are just not winterized. We have leaks around our windows, so it might be something as simple as putting some plastic up over the windows, or making sure that we've got the caulking is correct around the windows, gaps underneath doors. Making sure that we throw maybe a towel in front of the door or a blanket over the door or something just to keep that wind from coming in. And then being prepared as far as outside faucets, maybe cover them. I know Walmart and some of the other places sell little covers to go over your faucets on the outside that are made of styrofoam to help kind of insulate those from the winter time. And just making sure that your heating your heating is where it needs to be, that it's running efficiently, that your filters are clean, and keep your home just as toasty as you need it to.
Now, you mentioned heat there. Let me look at the what not to do kind of thing for a second there. Some people think that if you throw open your oven, that'll help, or God forbid they burn a charcoal brazier or something inside, whatever else, something related like that. What can be the results?
Well, the biggest thing is going to be carbon monoxide, and we want to make sure that you use the proper type of heating. Obviously, we want like a central heat and air unit, but if that's not something that you have, I know there's a lot of homes out there that still have wall furnaces or floor furnaces. But making sure that that you're safe by having a working smoke detector, having a working carbon monoxide detector, not using that stove, and I know that's something that my parents and grandparents used a lot to help heat the house, but that it doesn't burn off as clean as it needs to, and it can fill the house up and with that carbon monoxide, which one day we might not wake up if we continue to do that.
What about wood fires, either in a fireplace or a stove that you've gotten designed to do that? That is a good alternative, but you still have to be careful with both of them, right?
Absolutely. Making sure that that your chimneys are clean, that they don't have any soot buildup. It's wood burning fireplaces and stoves are a great alternative to heat, and a lot of people, especially within our jurisdiction, use that. Burning the right types of wood that don't put off a lot of soot that could build up and make give us that opportunity for a fire within our chimney, because those are very, very dangerous.
Now, you mentioned fire there. Of course, being the holiday season, there are Christmas trees and candles and this sort of thing. That's a real danger. We're seeing it pop up in the news every day now. I've seen something about a fire. So what kind of information would you want to share about open flames?
So, the best way is just to stay away from open flames. Everybody likes to decorate for the holidays, and candles used to be one of the best ways, candles in the windows and things. But they've got a lot of different alternatives out there with LED candles and electric candles that look just as real. And as far as Christmas trees go, listened to a report last night, as a matter of fact, and they suggest that obviously if you have a live Christmas tree, making sure that it's watered, cutting it off at the base an inch or two from the bottom so that it can absorb that water. And if you get into a situation where you start seeing needles fall off before Christmas actually comes, then it might be, rather than watering it once a day, maybe we need to do it a couple of times a day. Most of your Christmas tree fires, though, will happen after Christmas and between New Year's, because people just forget to water them. So the good thing about it is, with technology, we don't have, a lot of people don't have the big bulbs that go on Christmas trees anymore that get really hot. But if that's something that you still do have, and you're still a live tree type of person, you want to make sure that you've got plenty of water.
During the season, we're going to get ice and snow eventually, unless there's real climactic shift there. And when people get out to deal with it, they can also get themselves into trouble, first from slipping, but also from the exertion, right?
Absolutely. We see a big rise this time of year when we start getting ice and snow on the ground, where people get out and try to remove it themselves and overexert, and then have some type of heart event, cardiac event. So, it's even though it's cold outside and we might not be sweating as much as we think we are, we're still working our bodies. So just take it in chunks, do a little bit at a time. And if it's not something that you really should be doing, call a friend or a family member, or find a young one that is within the neighborhood to come and do it, and give them a few extra dollars to earn some money.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because it was running through my mind. We see kids with shovels trying to make a few bucks, right?
Absolutely. It's, I can remember the days where I pushed a lawnmower up and down the neighborhood blocks asking people to mow, and kids are out there wanting to make a few bucks so that they can buy games or to go along with the Christmas money that they're getting or whatever it might be. So, and it's a great way to teach them how to help others and serve others, and make a little money on the side.
Let's shift to automobiles and the highway. I know years ago I saw the the ice storm that just completely wiped out the state, it seemed like. And sometimes people just don't take it that seriously. They think they can still do the speed limit or worse, and zip down the highway in their car, their truck, whatever else. What do you recommend?
Well, just knowing what the road conditions are. You can find road conditions online through the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, or you can actually call. They've got a hotline number. Don't have it right offhand, but and then watching the weather. They're going to tell you what the road conditions are. Bridges and overpasses are the first things that are usually going to turn slick. Any type of incline hills that we might drive, but biggest thing is just slow down if you have to be out on it. I've noticed in the last couple of years that the trend is the media telling people just to stay home. I know that we have to get to work. I know that we have things to do, but it doesn't matter if you've got a four-wheel drive truck or if you've got a little bitty front-wheel drive vehicle. Ice is ice, and it's slick. And if you don't have the proper traction, you're not going to make it very far.
What about resources if people get in trouble, whether it's at home and medical, or their car slides into a ditch, or something else like that? First of all, let's start with the Mvskoke Creek Nation. Do you all respond to this sort of thing?
We do not respond to medical emergencies per se. We want people to call 911 to get the ambulance out there, or the fire department, or whatever law enforcement agency. We will assist them, but we're not the first call that people need to make. So if you slide off the road, or if you have a fender bender, or if there's some type of medical emergency at home, you want to make sure that you call 911. Or if you don't have 911 in your area, you can still make sure that you know what the emergency numbers are to those local agencies.
Now, that would include, of course, the Highway Patrol, emergency medical technicians, fire department, I presume, things like that. And is there anyone else there that we're not including?
I think that we've pretty much hit it all. 911 gets your fire, EMS, and law enforcement in all of our jurisdictions, as far as I know. Star 55 on your cell phone will get you the Highway Patrol. Biggest thing is, especially if you're out on the roadway, know where you are. Be able to give somebody some directions, because cell phones, even though they're big with technology, they don't come up with an address, and you want to know that you're in between point A and point B so that you can point the emergency services in the right direction.
It might be a good idea to let someone know if you're going to take a trip then. Either the person that you're expecting to see or folks around home, let them know if you're going from Tulsa to Henrietta, something like that, or in the rural sections in particular.
Absolutely. Let somebody know what your itinerary is, how long you think that it's going to take, so that if you're not there within that allotted time slot, they can either call you on the phone if you have a cell phone, or they can send somebody out to look for you. I know a lot of husbands and wives do the same thing. If the wife leaves and she's going somewhere, he knows that she's leaving, and she calls when she gets there, so that you know that they're safe, and that's a good rule of thumb.
Okay, is there anything else here that we should be talking about? Even I know this isn't your field, but if someone has a problem, mental health, depression, or something like that, you are aware of some resources?
Our health systems here at Creek Nation definitely have the resources for that. So that would be just a call. This time of year is tough for some people because of loss of loved ones, or maybe kids are growing and out of the house and not able to come in for the holidays. So people do get depressed. And I did notice the other day that our health systems put out some numbers that people can call and get those resources.
I know you talk with me actually on the same subjects about safety and things like that, and a lot of people will be echoing the same sorts of things. But does your department, emergency management, see a lot more calls or hear a lot more requests during this particular season, or is there a month or something like that?
I wouldn't narrow it down to a month, but winter weather and then tornado season that heightens people's awareness. So we get calls just like this to be able to give tips and preparedness ideas for people to do. And then, of course, if we do have some type of event, whether it be a lot of snow or ice that shuts down people for a while, or an emergency with thunderstorms or tornadoes or whatever, the calls do get they do increase a little bit. But the one good thing is just educating people like this on being prepared, and it takes time, but over the years I see that it's working now.
Last question here. I know that yourself and your department have to pay a lot of attention to the weather and forecasts and discussions like that. Have you been given any idea of what Oklahomans might be expecting to see for the change from 2016 to 2017?
Well, we watch the National Weather Service. We've got some other resources that we watch, and what I've seen that's going to come up within this month of December, actually, we've got 2 or 3 cold fronts that are going to come through. Of course, they're still a little ways out, and the models that they're showing are kind of going back and forth, but there's a good possibility that Christmas Day we might see a little bit of rain that turns over to snow, that turns over to ice, which is going to be a problem for people that are traveling. So the one thing that we know is that Oklahoma weather can change at the drop of a hat, and but the media is definitely good about trying to forecast many days out. And that's what we want people to understand is be prepared. If the media starts talking about it, don't wait until the last minute to run to Walmart and grab your bread and milk, because you're probably not going to find it. Have it beforehand, making sure that you've got enough wood for your fireplaces, making sure that your propane tanks are filled up. Because once those things do happen and we get snow and ice on the ground, those propane companies aren't going to be able to make it to your house if you run out of propane. And it's going to be really difficult unless you have a good chainsaw to go out and cut your own wood to burn in the fireplace. So being prepared, making sure that you've got food and water, and know what your plan is if you do go without electricity. Know that you can call your electric company and find out. They're going to give you an estimated time, probably longer than what it will actually take. But have a plan maybe to be able to go to a friend or a family member so that until the electricity comes back on. Those are things that we want people to start preparing now so that it doesn't take them by surprise when it happens.
Okay, great. Mr. Nichols, thank you so much. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, you might have noticed that the dates were a little out of date, and references to a couple of years ago, but Oklahoma weather tends to stay the same, and so don't be too surprised if we get many of those same conditions that are happening. All right, we're going to take a short pause here, a couple of quick PSAs, and then we'll be back with our gentleman to talk about translation, a big chunk of the Bible. Stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio, here on The Brew.
Hear that? That's the sound of hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
Who am I? Am I native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in 2 worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew. We have a couple of gentlemen from our language department joining us today, Mr. Brandon Barnett and Pastor Jimsy Harjo. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate you taking the time to join us in a day when many others go off. We're going to take one more pause here, so stick with us.
Who am I? Am I native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in two worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back. In the process here, we're going to start off our discussion with Brendan Barnett. Now, Brendan, you work for the language department, and what's your title there?
Graphic designer.
And that's probably like a lot of other tribal positions, you wear more than one hat, right?
Yes. I design with print, multimedia, audio and video, a few other formats.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you do a lot of recording of the work that goes on there. Now, part of what you have done has been the recording of a section of the Bible. Is that correct? A translation in
Mvskoke? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and share a section of that right now, and I will give it a listen, and we'll come back and chat with you. So please stay with us.
Sindatski hukulen. Moment hilat miko legi nitta dagi oban Jesus Bethlehem Judea over Hitskov Hijas Isti Homosinalge Hasosa Facha Awit Jerusalem Yejadis Istan Josalge Imiko Hitskat Legi Haks in Kodajamba Hasosa Fachan Hijiadi Adakwidalani Yejiga Mahagit Moment Hirut Miko Pohat Jerusalemge Umalga Sabagit Pikitigadis Moment Isti in police in Omahodat Umalgan in Nak Chuka Hayal Gio Adiloyov Istamin class hit Kalanadi Imbuadis Moment Imukhanayagat Bethlehem Taluva Judea Igana Hayumit Wala Joyadit Umiga Moment Bethlehem Judah Imigana Uva Legitskat Judah Imikalgi Abagit Chotkos Mahat Duitskigos Miko Amiste Izio Avastasanat Ejidus Edasit Od Kedagadis Momo Hilot Isti Kobuslinalgi Ikurin Inuikit Istovan Kodojamba Hitski Omadi Hidejit Imbuhadis Moment Bethlehem Oktoradis Abiyit Hidejit Istuji Manituran Obuyagis Moment Ishijatsko Punaga Hadam Sanye Jatskalis Anio Ayet Adakui Jadin Kejid Moment Miko Imabohe Jobat in Gabagagadis Moment Hijas Ma Kotujamba Harosa Facha Hitskadi in Humati Ayit Imungit Istaji Manituzi Wakat Unaban Itofikonadis Mumin Kodajamba Hijagat Avatskidazakin Dain Isavatskagadis. Mumin Chogo Sijiyo Hobiuji Itski Milin Abagin Hijagadis. Mumit Takpalatkit Azakwidagadis. Mumit Nakadika Inho Hejof Nanagi Imagadis. Chadokna Blani Lipina Hilok Pamijan Samana Isumin. Mumin Abuitska Ovan Hilat Okpolijeza Zanigon. Hisagita Mishit Ingit Quijin Aida Ide Men Imigana Yokpoliji Badis. Mumin Abi Ibo Hijas Pojaji Imangela Abuitska Ovan chosen imihit kuidadis. Awi edit obiuji itski tibagan yabayit Egyptian solitkas mumen man legitski mungin chimunayadis. Hilat obiujin ilijidan kumit obuyataniga ketadis. Mumen awi hobiuji itski tibagan yabayit nitin Israelis Egyptian. Mumen Egypti ausi chapuji inhui kayadis. Magi pojaji imbunaka oala kitkuitadi isokpatskaden. Manlegi mungin hilat iladis. Momo hilat Isti kabuslinalgit nakaigot fullidan hijo tidayan chabakadis mumet adudit chibanakoji oksulubi in hokolal adigin saingan jabat Bethlehem mumet imadikagat adikagat umalgan paradadis Isti hubuslinalge hilejet imbo hadid azakain. Momo Chelimia Wala ubunayadi isfatskadis amagi. Lima uva inhagi prohagadis wakit mumet hagaikidat mumet hagaikida sakit. Lijalit inhubidagojen ishagaikit imalabat kati taigadis sagibiguga mumet hilot ilof hijas pujaji imanjalat abuitska ovan chose imihitskuitadis Egypti ovan awiedet obiojin itski tibagan yabayet isyo iganan Isaias. Istaji inisagida imadakadi pasat kibiga kajit. Mumen awiedet obiuji itski dibagan iyabayadis. Mumen isyo iganan sitoladis. Mumes akiliat itki hilot ayuboskit chudia uban Mika jugin pohat Aida pingaladis. Mumes isagidamasi abitska ovan ingit kwitiga fayatkit kalalin ayadis. Mumen talova nasali hojifkin ayat islegadis. Nasalalgin kayojalis. Oalalgi ubunaho yadi sokfatkalin. Matthew Sindatsky Tuchinin. Manita Tagi Umov Chani baptized Chudia Andawa Uvan Itkinagit Mumet Chimagitseskan Idejaks halwi imumikidat apologetica magit moment ubunaka inhagit andawan wicked isaginamisi imaidan ididaguidaks inninin labut lagin hahedaks magit wala Isaiah ubunaiji ugadi hiya istit mat umiga magit alagadis moment ma chani sachigupe isin achit Jose siwanagidan idatska siwanagit umadis moment tafonoksa moment Fosimanole in Jambin in Humbida Dadis. Momo Jerusalemi Judea Jordani Hachi Abuki Isti Omalga Isosit Okabiadis. Moment in Holwaitskan Imukanayagin Janet Jordanin Akpap Dasadis. Momes Falizalgi Sada Susalgi Isumat Sugit baptizing in Yajin Hijo Chitto Honapsi Duyatskat Tabakida Alakatanan Imbuvatkaks Istemat Chigejagihanks Munga Agitetska Idetska Olejin Imitin Hayagis Moment Ilim Hemi Puskin Ojis Magidan Agitetsaskas Isagidan Misi Hiya Chado Ausi Ubuidagi Ilim Hemi Imumiji Tayi Umin Chigezagat Ogega Moment Hayumes Pujiswa Ido Ijiskadagi Awakis Munga ido imiti hidin haigad adigad dajit dotkan tawe hogit os. Ane mihinwan wiwan ischibab tazagad umes agitetska idetskan umes chayuba alagad ani sanyikchis imistibalega injawai dayi Ilida Odaks Matpoyavikta Azagan Mumit Dotkan Istibaptas Kakalis Ma Isti Izimiwiska Ingiowats Moment Nagin Iniska Indiskida Hidin Hazadisadis Moment Indiligo Adiloid Dodon Adihalis Momes Indalishe Dotkan Asligo Dayan Isniklezalis Gedagadis Momo Jesus Galalin Adit Jordanin Janin Himalagadis Baptizalin Momes Janet Imasigadis Animen Chabaptizis Kidais Mumad anin amalagits ki haks gadget. Moment Jesus imayu boskit. Hayumat amakasamas. Hayumin fatsida umaga sok fatsizali. Mumali diet umiga. Gadgetis. Mumu imakasamadis. Moment Jesus baptized abausen. Wiwan inkabaget ajimgadis. Moment hijas sudat inho agadis. Moment hisagidamisi imbuevicta pajihoi umid ahadapket ulegin hijadis. Moment hijas umanaga inhagi halwi adit hiyat chapuji Anugitski mauva abat koreatis magit puhagadis Matthew, Sindatsky, Austin. Momo, Jesus, Puyavictat, Iyabayit. Andaman is Osadis. Puyavicta, Hulwakat, Iskitladen. Momen, Nita, Pali, Austin. Nize, Pali, Austin. Ila Wijov. Tinyuban, Ilawadis. Momen, Iskitat, Imalago. Isagidamisi, Ipuji, Duitskin, Umat. Magitskin, Hia, Chadot, Takalegi, Hagigas, Ketadis. Momes, Imayibuskit. Isti, Takalegi, Talgin, Ahisakigos. Momes, Ubanaga, Hisagidamisi, Ijowa, Osad. Adigan, Ahisagalis. Magit, Chogitos, Ketadis. Momo, Uyavicta, Hulwagat, Iyabayit, Taluba, Atagan, Sistiadis. Mumet, Choko Atagat, Sokhabita, Oletadis. Mumet, Isagidamisi, Ipuji, Duitskin, Umat. Aidawegas. Ichokpatchan, Imandalalgin, Ahagan, Imalis. Mumen, Ingidagin, Istigawa Bakalis. Chile, Chado, Isanafkitski Garden, Magit, Chogit, Umiga, Ketadis. Adam, Pujaji, Chinizagidamisi, Iskilaitskas, Magit, Chogit Os, Jesus, Ketadis. Adam Puyavicta Hulwagat, Igana Halwi Mahin, Isajim Gadis, Mumet Yama Igana Taluba Ujaga, Domalgan, in Zakideo, Ejetadis. Mumet Iya Nanagi, Umalgan, Chimalis, Taladegit, Atatakwijitskin, Umat, Ketadis. Mumu, Jesus, Ogat, Sidanidu Itskat, Idanayas. Pujaji, Chinhisagidamisi, Azakwijit, Madalgil, Imadut Kitkalis, Magi, Chogit, Umiga, Ketadis. Momo, Puyavicta Hulwagat, Inga Bagadis. Mumin Hijas, Angelalgil, Yejit, Avastagadis. Mumin Chani, Chogoyikchan, Paiho Gajigin, Jesus Pohit, Kalalin, Ayadis. Mumin Nazalin.
Okay, we had to deal with a medical problem. Came up with Pastor Harjo, so we ran that segment a little longer while we took care of it. But Brandon Barnett is still with us here. Now, you're the one who took kind of an archaic language challenge like this and dealt with it with modern technology here.
Yes, we did. Initially, we anticipated just to go in and record, but the technical standpoint was enormous. It was a lot of recording, editing, a lot of details. And once we figured out the problems and the logistical issues, it really, we just ran with it.
Now, you did this in the studio there at the language department?
We did.
Okay, so everything was done in-house, so you didn't farm anything out?
Everything was independent.
And, of course, Pastor Harjo was your language consultant and walked you through the Bible part?
Absolutely.
Now, were there any particular challenges that you saw or were aware of as you went into the project? I mean, obviously it's hugely enormous, but you know, what were you facing?
The biggest setbacks were logistical. It was a lot of problems as far as man-made problems, such as noises and the occasional stomach growl. And during the recording process and the editing process, I had to pull all the anomalies out of the final and then export the final chapters into iTunes playlists
I think that's one thing we have a problem with too. Being as journalists and everything, we have the occasional when everybody's talking, and there's always a little like pause, the occasional stomach growl.
Yeah.
And I think it always happens with everybody.
I
So,
know.
I mean, yeah, like you said, the logistics thing, especially with something like that, you just want it to be clear as possible. But these recorders nowadays, man, they can pick up almost everything.
Absolutely.
And one of them will. I mean, a lot of these are probably used for ghost hunts, so they're going to try to pick up everything.
That's pretty good.
But,
Yeah.
but Brendan, with things like this, the time that comes with the translation. There might be some words that may not be, I guess, moved from the King James version over to Mvskoke. How was that, taken into effect? I mean, was there a hard time like being able to do that, or?
A lot of problems that we had were pronunciation, enunciations, linguistic, and our whole staff at the language program had to give thanks to them. They really came through when we came through as a complete program, and everybody pitched in at the department, and so we really relied on each other for the correct pronunciations and how to bring the old into the new, and but it was a real team effort from everybody, and it was a real challenge to really get this right. And once we started, we wanted to do it right. That was the whole goal, was to not misinterpret a word, or because the tones and the phrasings affect the ultimate meaning of a word.
Well, the Mvskoke language has a lot of descriptive phrases in
Yes.
place of a particular single word. So, waterfall could end up being, several.
Sure, falling water or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Was that? How did you deal with something that huge?
It was extremely challenging. It was the enormity of what we were doing was. It was just monumental. You couldn't do it all at one time, obviously, but the time span. It took us from start to finish. It took 20 months.
Wow.
And it was all. I mean, just the enormity of it. It was all just a huge challenge. And then once you start, you establish a standard, and then word by word, line by line, page by page, and you could spend 30 minutes on one page, just from the editing standpoint. And there would be, let's say, 10 misspoken words, and I would write these words on a master list, and then we would pull the bad words out, and then we'd re-record the words, and then we would insert them back into the timeline. And so that was a hugely painstakingly long process to do that, because obviously audio, waveform and sort of like a time code, and that's the only mathematical, numerical system to gauge of where you're at on a timeline. And we're looking at the final of this project was approximately 36 hours of final narration, and it was a huge project just to edit all of that and just pulling seconds out here and there and to make it flow consistently. And that was a huge challenge to do that.
Well, what was the, pardon the pun here, but what was the genesis of the project? I mean, why was it started and undertaken?
Oh, that's a great question. Our former manager, Shimona Deere, had a conversation with Chief Floyd about he wanted to hear the New Testament in the language. And so when we decided to do this, we needed a voiceover talent, and it was decided to use Jim C. Harjo over at Sasakwa Rock Spring Church. And he a fluent speaker, and he's a great communicator and linguist. And from there, we were ready for pre-production. And then once we established the sound that we were looking for, the voice saturation, the gain, we were ready to roll. And we started recording on May 1st, 2017. And we recorded all 261 chapters in order. And like I said, the editing process is what took the longest. But we had a lot of challenges. We had like, I don't want to say supernatural things, but that was a challenge as well.
Well, I understand that that presence made its presence known, and you had to figure out what was going on.
We did. We recorded in a vocal booth, and it was it's a professional booth, and you can't hear anything in there. And we would pick up things on the microphone as far as laughing, and we could hear it talking. One time we heard it singing. We could hear bumps and things that go bump in the night, and it was very real. And we took it as I don't want to get too religious here, but we took it as like the devil didn't want us to finish this project, and he was trying to keep us away from completing. But Jim C and I, we would just say prayer when these things would happen, and we would count our blessings, and we would keep moving, and we would just not let this bother us and not let this stop us, because I was determined to finish this.
It got to take a lot of courage when you get a physical manifestation of, let's say, the enemy.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, you're having to deal with it right there. I mean, that's the stuff they make TV shows and movies out of. But all of a sudden, here it is in your department. Oh my gosh.
I remember one time, it was just recently when I was doing the final edits and Revelations. I can't remember which chapter it was, but we heard like it was almost like a istibaba, almost like a
lion.
It was like almost like a growl, like a sort of like a roar. Mm-hmm. It sounded like an animal, and we didn't know what that was, or.
Gosh.
But it was on the audio tape, and then I just pulled it out and kept going.
That's the kind of stuff that they do these TV shows about.
Absolutely, yeah.
Satanic presence, or ghosts, and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Brandon, whenever the editing process is going, and I'm just bringing up one part, like,
sure.
Did it feel like you were like hearing like repeated verses, and one example was like the Beatitudes, blessed are the poor of spirit, for that, was it like was it hard like hearing that, or I mean, was there like little like differences in the translation, or or like I'm hearing the same part over and over? Did that ever like mix you up or mess anybody up or anything, especially during that editing process?
No, sometimes when you hear things over and over, the pronunciation will come out differently. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things in the edit process. We would find one that we were happy with, and then we would use it over and over and to keep it consistent. But as far as what you're talking about, I looked at it as from a technical standpoint, and it was more of a computer part for me. It was a voiceover narration, but I didn't sort of look at it from a linguistic standpoint. That was sort of Jim C's expertise in that area.
Forgive me, this may be blasphemous or profane, but when you were talking about that, the Monty Python movie, The Life of Brian, came to mind. And they were listening to Jesus in a Sermon on the Mount, and there was a phrase that somebody misunderstood and said, "Oh, blessed are the cheesemakers." And forgive me, Lord, but did you run into anything like that? I mean, that's kind of silly, but
there were some times where we were sort of stuck in a rut, so where we couldn't move forward. But like I said, the whole department, if we got stuck at a certain point, we would ask opinions of our instructors and everybody in our area, and everybody just pitched in, and we just powered through it, and we're determined not to fail, and to keep this going, and Christmas time is here, and this is done. So I think we achieved our goal.
That must have been kind of a joyous moment, but were there spots along the way where you that you just nailed it and you really felt good about having completed that?
as funny as it sounds, it's every time I finish a chapter. When I got through chapter 1 or of whatever book it was, and when I got done with the chapter, like I said, it was page by page, and once I was done with a chapter and I was on to the second one or the third, etc., to me that was victory for me to get through the chapter. And then there was 261 chapters, obviously, but once we finished, I remember when we finished Revelations, when the final line was spoken. I just can remember once it ran its course and it was over, I couldn't believe I was finished. I could not believe it was done. It seemed like there was more, but there wasn't any more. I was on the last page of the last chapter of the last sentence, and once it ran its course, it was just this huge weight lifted off of me. I could sort of stand up straight again. I mean, I was carrying this thing around all this time, and but it was a huge relief to finally get this completed. So.
Did you give it a big amen?
Yeah, exactly.
The enormity of it just is amazing. Now, I'm going to presume somebody's going to want copies of it, or if it's published or whatever. Now, will that kind of thing be available, and where would they go?
We are looking at a few different formats. We're looking at to put it online where people can listen to it or download it, for example, and we want to be able to burn the Bible into CDs and have a complete sets of CDs. And then I was even thinking of doing somehow creating an ebook with the audio and the video, and somehow we'll work that out. But we'll announce a formal announcement pretty soon as far as the distribution of the final.
Well, it seemed like there should be some kind of market for it. Like international scholars like to do this sort of thing, and guys in the middle of nowhere say, "Oh, well, I'm an expert because I have this." And of course, I'm thinking, Library of Congress, National Museum of the American Indian, and things like that.
That would be awesome. I don't really look that far into the future about something like that, but if somebody could maybe point us in the right direction, I would definitely take a look at seeing how that would all play out.
Mm-hmm. Hey, maybe our marketing people could.
Yeah, definitely. I think this will be a good project for them too, such as him creating it, them for distributing.
Yeah.
Hey, Chelsea, are you listening? Well, this is pretty amazing. Now, if somebody has questions and wants to get a hold of you, how do they go about it?
Oh, we're at the language program over at Education and Training Building. 918-732-7725 is our phone number, and we'll be glad to answer any questions or help in any way we can.
Okay, well, Brandon Barnett, thank you so much for helping us make us through this program. It certainly is one for the books, and we hope our Creator looks out over our brother, Pastor Jimsy Harjo, and gives him a blessing there.
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, we've got a couple of minutes left and a couple of announcements, so why don't you kick us off?
I'll go ahead and start it off. Really, I only have one from the things you gave me. Council House Christmas tree lighting will be tomorrow at 5:15. There's going to be hymnal singing, cookies, and hot chocolate. 100 West 6th, Creek Nation Council House. So please come on out and stick around for the Main Streets Festival of Lights.
Okay, and if you missed all the other Christmas bazaars, you got a final chance here, or at least another chance, in Wetumpka Indian Community's Christmas Bazaar. That is Saturday, December 1st, from 9 to 4 at the Wetumpka Indian Center down in Wetumpka for all kinds of gifts and things like that. You want to check that one out. There is concession available, maybe fry bread, and free booth space if you want to join in. That's Saturday, 9 to 4 in Wetumpka. Okay.
I'm out.
I got nothing, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Once again, coming in when everyone else has got to go home today. And we did a show. It was the most unusual show we've probably ever done.
But like Brandon and Pastor Harjo, getting through it with their little problems, we got through ours with ours.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of live radio here, folks. Okay, what have we got about 30 seconds here? We have plans to do something for the day after Christmas, so we'll see, and perhaps that one will be recorded. And we have scheduled our chief, Principal Chief James Floyd, for December the 12th for an hour-long Q&A with me, so we'll play with that one. So until then, this is Gary Fife saying, Bro Mabo Hejitskat. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.